What's up, Yu-Gi-Oh fans? I just wanted to give my 2 cents on some of the decks that I'm looking at for the Genesis format. So the first one I've got for you guys is the True Dracos. I'm utilizing the extra deck with this one because some of these cards, like Monarchs, were up. They're 50 points a go, so you can't really afford to throw those in. So instead, I've got other things in here, that utilize the extra deck. I've got Dogmatic of Punishment, Super Poly, Apophis is in here with some of the other good cards. This one was really good. Uh, so this one allows you to negate a summon, yeah, by sending the Apophis after you've used it. So basically, you're going to use Apophis to negate stuff, any Dark Ruler or Back Row Destruction or anything, and then you're going to use this card afterwards to tribute that off because it's useless to you anyways, basically, to then negate a summon. And then you've got Dogmatic of Punishment in here with the Entis and the Garura, and I've got the Mud Dragon in here, the uh, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. I've also got the Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon in here. I was thinking about playing some of the just like triple copies of Cyber Dragon or something, but I don't know. I kind of decided against it because I don't really need my main summon with this deck anyway, so I can afford to play Raw Sphere mode and Lava Golem and stuff. So these are fantastic cards for this format. Like, people are not prepared for these at all, man. And then what we got here is the light imprisoning mirror and and shadow imprisoning mirrors. And basically, there's a lot of light and dark decks running around. Like, I'm even going to show some in this one with, Red Dragon Archfiend is a dark example. Light example would be the, what is it, Teller Knights that just got support. Yeah, they're all, light. They're another strong thing. And I think Cool Tune also has some light monsters. So, it seems pretty effective. You can take either one depending on the matchup. And then we've also got neither player can fusion summon, non-fusion area. So basically, you go against any kind of fusion-based deck. You just drop triple one of this in there on turn one, and they're done. Like, they can't really get around that. Yeah, they can try and target your back row, but you've got Apophis. You got triple copies of that, and this isn't once per turn, by the way. You can do this multiple times. And I've also got this one in here that searches out another Apophis, so it's basically like 4 copies of Apophis. And they can actually negate multiple things when they come out too. So if they've got like 3 things out on the field, you could negate everything if you've got, one of these and one of these out on the field or something, right? Like, if you've got other continuous trap cards out on the field, like, you could negate a lot of things, and it's not once per turn either. And you're getting a beat stick off of it, which, plus everywhere basically. So we've got pretty much only the really effective hand traps that allow us to draw into other stuff like Super Poly and our board breakers and stuff. I thought about putting Slayer in here in this deck, but I couldn't find the points for it because Super Poly's pretty expensive, and then I just couldn't find there's so much you have to consider with this because I got the extra deck targets that cost, points as well. So I just couldn't end up justifying putting it in here when I have Dogmatic of Punishment. Um, I thought it would be pretty good to have it in the side deck and then be able to side out Dogmatic of Punishment. So you could end up, maybe playing 2 copies of Super Poly and then playing triple Slayer if you want. But that's at your discretion. Um, Pack bits free. You don't have to worry about paying anything for pack bit, so you can send him no problem, and he'll get an extra effect of putting one of your opponent's monsters in the back row. Um, but yeah, that's basically it for this one. And then this redeemable jar here, you're just gonna be able to banish a trap and then get another trap back to your hand. So basically, after you've used, Apophis and then tributed off or something, or tributed off one of your back row for one of your monsters, you can just banish one of the traps and then get another one back. So it's just another way to get more free advantage in this deck. Oh, and the last thing, Masterpiece is legal, right? Like, he's not. It's just 33 points. I couldn't justify taking that for 33 points. Like, yeah, he is good, but I've also got other options. And this guy's free. He's not unaffected like this guy and him are. But basically, all this guy is doing is giving you a pop every turn, anyways. So yeah, he is good. He only takes 2 tributes, but this guy is unaffected. He's 3k instead of 2950, so he can go toe to toe with other monsters. And then also, um, you have this to lower the opponent's attack and stuff as well. So, attack usually isn't really a problem for this deck. You can just, get them down half their attack with this card and then just swing them. So, and this also prevents you from being destroyed from battle or card effects the first time. Or sorry, just battle. And this also allows you to search any one of your True Draco cards. So you just pop one in your hand and then you search one of your True Dracos. So that could be an effective way to get a trap into the graveyard for a redeemable jar if you have it in hand or something. But yeah, that's basically it for this deck. Let me show you the next one. So for next, I'm gonna show you. Let's do sharks next, and then we'll do the two RDA decks that I have. So this one's sharks. Pretty self-explanatory here. I think if you're not playing Dimension Shifter with sharks, you're not playing them properly because you can play around this card very easily, and it hurts a lot of people. And it's 10 points. It's not cheap, but it's also not that bad either, right? Like one of these and the opponent might have to just scoop, right? So I really like these high impact cards in this one. But yeah, basically just triple copies of Abyss Shark, Crystal Shark, triple copies of Big Jaws, triple copies of Vice. Only 2 Buzzsaw Shark because you mostly want to like normal summon Vice Shark for the most part. Sometimes, you might go for Buzzsaw Shark, but at the end of the day, I think 2 of them is enough, especially with this many searchers in the deck to get to stuff. I have the one Mineruka. I see a lot of people sleeping on this card. I'm going to be honest, like, especially in a format like this, where negation costs so much, points and stuff, to have a card in like this where you just get to special summon it for free and then tribute another monster and you can turn anything off. It's very good, man. You guys got to look at this if you haven't considered putting this in your deck yet. But then we've got the Drake Shark. This makes getting your Shark Drake a lot easier. It only requires 2 tributes instead of 3. So that helps you out with that kind of line. And so does the Vice Shark. You definitely want to make with into the Shark Drake as well, because that's going to give you the extra effect of once per turn, when a spell/trap card or effect is activated, you can detach 2 materials from this card, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy that card. And what's interesting is yeah, says it's once per turn, but if you have this card out on the field, right, and then summon with this, then you can do that, and then you can overlay with full armored Xyz afterwards and go into Live Ice and actually do it again. So you can have 2 spell and trap negates while also then getting a monster negate. Super effective. What you can also do is you can go into a Wave High King Caesar with 6 materials on him and just negate 3 of your opponent's special summons effects. Very, very effective if you can get it, but it requires certain things in your hand. I'll do a combo video in another one maybe. But yeah, so you could play the. Sorry, I was over here. So on next is Hydrojet Shark. Pretty self-explanatory. Can summon himself out when you have an Xyz monster on the field. Also lets you get your Xyz Revive Splash into the graveyard or dump a Crystal Shark for another extender play. And this is what allows you to summon the High Wave King Caesar. So this card can be pretty good, pretty pivotal in the strategy. So if you're not playing this, like, you should consider this card. It's pretty good. So next we have the Xyz Remora. I thought about dropping this because I'm playing Dimension Shifter and stuff, but for the amount of times that I'm not going to see this in my hand, it's worth it. It's worth it having it in the deck, I think. So I kept it in there. You could drop it down and, cut that. You could also cut this if you wanted to make it perfect, 40 cards or whatever. But yeah, so, and then first Penguin. So somebody showed, I'm going to leave a link to the person's video who showed me this, but I had never seen anything like this before. You can literally special summon this guy for free, and then he can search your Abyss Shark or your Crystal Shark if you already have the Abyss Shark in hand, and you can summon him out and then search for your Big Jaws or something else that you need, and then you can go into the White Aura Porpoise right away, and that's going to allow you to special something else from your hand, maybe an extra Buzzsaw Shark that you had, so that you can do that. And then basically you're going to tribute it off after, right? So you're going to go into this, you're going to special something, and then you're going to use Vice Shark's effect to get rid of it in order to special something else out that you need. So, or probably your Buzzsaw Shark. So that's pretty much how that goes. This is basically to search this. I'm only playing one because I really don't like, playing multiple copies of something that I can only activate once per turn, right? So I try and cut down on the amount of copies I'm playing of stuff, but the guy was playing 3 of this. I think one was enough. It helps with activating a spell card for your Big Jaws to come online, but you usually don't have a problem with that, especially considering I'm playing, Aqua Jet, triple Ready Fusion, triple Tachyon, double Ascension. Even this, you can activate this and put it on something, and that counts. So you don't normally have a problem activating a spell card, but there could be some hands where that happens, I suppose. But basically, yeah, you got your shifters here. This, if anyone sees this, it's basically just goodbye. If their deck is weak, almost every deck is weak to shifter. So the fact that we can play around it with this deck is pretty beneficial for us. I got the 3 Fualos in here. Triple Fualos is absolutely essential. We have a lot of points to play with this deck. There's really no excuse not to add the Fualos. And then I got the 1 Nib. I had 3 Nib in here, but I think 1 Nib is fine, especially if I'm going to draw into it with Fualos. That's really what I'm going for, is high impact hand traps. So if it comes up, it comes up, but if not, it's not really that big of a deal. I'm still drawing a bunch of cards and getting advantage, right? So we've got the full armor Xyz. This allows us to to overlay basically into another Xyz monster that allows us to overlay for it. And it can also attach. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 1 Xyz monster you control. Equip 1 other Xyz monster from your face-up field or graveyard to that monster. With the following effects, the equipped monster gains attack equal to this card's attack. If the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect, destroy this card instead. So, it's not amazing, but it's enough that it's worth playing, right? So it allows you to overlay basically the Shark Drake into the Levice, or there's a few things you can do with it, But and the second part of the effect is going to activate your Dark Knight Lancer to get an extra attach. So, it's worth it playing it. And then another couple cards that I don't see in a lot of people's lists, especially here in Genesys and stuff. And for 0 points, you really can't go wrong. Numbers Protection. Numbers protection: when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated while you control a Numbers Xyz monster, negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. If a Numbers Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can set this card but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use number 1 per turn. So I thought it was worth it to include at least one. I thought about playing 3 of this or 2 of this, but then I also discovered this one, which this one's pretty good too. It's basically the same thing. When a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, you control an Xyz monster and negate the activation. Then you can detach 2 materials from a monster you control, then destroy 1 card on the field. So it actually has another initial effect, which is pretty good, but it doesn't reset itself. That's the one thing to think about there. So I got 1 of each because, you can only activate 1 per turn. If I see both of these, well, that's 2 extra negates, right? So yeah, we got that in there. I saw a lot of people playing Xyz Import, or a few people playing Xyz Import, and I think that these cards are just way, way better than Xyz Import. But it is an option, especially considering it's a spell card for Big Jaws, and you can use it for going second too. You could make, Nash Knight, suck 1 monster up, and then, go Xyz Import and take up another one, right? And then go into Dark Knight Lancer, take another card, right? So it is good. It's just I'm not really sure how good, if it's worth it to play it in the deck. But you guys can make that decision yourselves. I'm at 42 cards here as well, so I didn't want to go adding, a bunch of other stuff to draw into that I don't need. It might just end up leaving me bricked. So that's that. We got the Virtue Stream in here with the Virtue Stream Dragon. The Virtue Dragon, sorry. And basically, this is just an easy freebie. You can go into it with any one of these that allow you to be level 3 to 5. A lot of them change their levels to allow you to special summon other stuff. Some of them are only number monsters though, so you gotta watch out for that. But basically, yeah, you summon this, and then you get to search out Virtue Stream. Virtue Stream, target 1 fish, sea aqua, sea serpent, or aqua monster you control, and 2 cards your opponent controls. Destroy them. Could be back row, could be anything. And then you could target 1 face-up monster on the field. If it is water monster, the next time it would be destroyed by counter effect. If it is not destroyed, if it is not, it becomes water. You can only use it. Yeah, so that secondary effect's not that great, but the fact that you could search this in your deck, and it's kind of like a torrential tribute almost, except you only have to give up 1 of your monsters instead of everything getting destroyed. So could be very effective as well to get further pops. If they got continuous trap cards or continuous spell cards, or their field spell doing something, you can, pop it. So that's that. And then for the extra deck, I got the 1 rare fish to go with the ready fusions. I got the white aura whale to go with the first penguin combo. I got the full armored Dark Knight Lancer, which can go over top of your Xyz Armor Fortress after it's got no material. I got the full armored Crystal Zero Lancer, the Wave King Caesar, the Armor Fortress, the Nash Knight, the Silent Honor Arc, which is necessary for your 7th Tachyon package, as well as the full armored Utopic Ray Lancer. I thought about cutting either this or this, but I really can't make up my mind which one I like more. And I thought about including the this card And this is another option. Definitely take a look at this if you guys can. You can target one monster your opponent controls, detach one from Xyz monster you control. If you do destroy that monster, there's a quick effect if you control another Xyz monster. So basically, you're always gonna have that pretty much, right? If another water Xyz monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, which is gonna happen with your Virtue Stream, um, you can place one spell from your deck on top of your deck. So this literally could be any spell, man. Like this could be your seventh Tachyon, this could be a Dark Ruler No More, this could be your interrupted Kaiju Slumber, or whatever. So um, yeah, that can be very powerful. Not gonna lie, I thought I should probably take this out and put this in, if we're being honest. Um, but yeah, you guys can make that decision yourselves. And then Silent Honor. And then this was the other card that I was thinking about including too, with that other one, the Nash Knight package, but it's hard to fit everything in, especially when you've got this, this, and this in here. It is kind of tight for extra deck space, but you guys can make your decisions, maybe don't want to play the Red Fusions and the Rare Fish, and I can understand that and play 3 of something else instead. 3 of another spell card or something. I really do like the porpoise though. You guys should really try that out. Credit to that guy who discovered it. I'll leave his link in the description. And then yeah, so side deck, we got 2 kaijus. I was thinking about adding more kaijus instead of the forbidden chalices, but the forbidden chalices are then spell cards to help big jaws. So I left this in here to so you can kind of make your own reservations. You can take these out and put 2 more kaijus in, whatever ones you want. I mean, I feel like the higher attack ones are good because you can use Stealth Kraken to just pop it. So, yeah, Stealth Kraken, he's pretty good. You get free monster pop, inflict damage equal to half of its attack. And then if this is destroyed, you get to spawn a Kraken spawn. And then you can actually turn somebody's monster into a water and get an extra pop there. And then if this goes, and then it'll spawn back the Kraken. So it can be pretty hard to get rid of. But yeah, so you can add more kaijus in here if you want, or you can do the chalices. Totally up to you. I think Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, the fact that it's at 0 points and it's just Raigekis your opponent's board and gives you a kaiju on your side of the field too, can be very, very effective. The next thing is you need something to deal with back row in this format. Yeah, I have the Virtue Stream and some other ways of dealing with the back row stuff, like Drake Shark secondary effect when it's on a Shark Drake monster. But you definitely need something because a lot of these people are, there's so much more slower cards, so people are setting a lot of back row stuff, and you never know what you're going to deal with. So you need a lot of back row removal in this format, I think. And then I've also got the Light Imprisoning and the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, 2 copies of each. So if I go up against a light deck, like I was saying before, I can do that. Or if I go up against Red Dragon Archfiend or something, then I can, use the Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, and that's just super effective. The fact that these are at 0 points is incredible. Amazing side deck cards. Can completely change the duel. Like if somebody's entire deck is light or dark, like what are they gonna do? You know what I mean? They have to try and get rid of that. But the thing is you're gonna have spell and trap negates, right? You got 2 of these. You got Levice's effect, right, or Vice Shark's effect, and you can do 2 of those if you really wanted. So it can be pretty hard to get your back row with this deck. So you can protect these pretty well, and people are going to have a very, very hard time dealing with these. The next one I have, also from the same guy, showed me this card. I'd never seen it before. Um, if you control a water monster, target one spell in your opponent's graveyard, banish it. And if you do, for the rest of this turn, negate all spell effects on your opponent's field. So decks that just rely on a lot of spell cards, like Yummy, I think, or Experly, what is it, Pearly, can they rely on a lot of their spell cards? Sky Striker, they also rely on a lot of spell cards, and you see a fair bit of this as well. Basically, every deck uses a lot of spell cards. Even, this deck uses a lot of spell cards. So if you go up against a clone of this deck or something using the 7th Tachyon or something, like, you can just stunt them, right? And they won't be expecting it because there's not really a lot of negates and stuff in this format. So a card like this, where you just can't activate spells anymore, that could just completely change the game too. So, but I have it in the side deck because I feel like the negates are probably more effective generically. But as soon as you realize that they're going to be weak to this, you can just swap this in for something else. Maybe you're going first, and so you're like, oh, okay, I can afford to take out the Dimension Shifters or the Fualos and the Primal Being, and then you can just swap in whatever you need, right? So that's it for the Shark deck. I think that's pretty much everything I got explained there. Yeah. And then let's go on to my regular Genesys RDA deck. I really love RDA. RDA is one of my favorite strategies in Yu-Gi-Oh! I love that we got new support. It really sucks that these are 6 points each, but I can understand it because they are very strong. But with Tachyon and stuff not being pointed, I'm pretty surprised. I feel like Tachyon should be pointed if these are going to be at 6, and I feel like 6 is a bit high. Like 5 points each should be more than enough, man. But Red Dragon Archfiend topped the last event or whatever, I think, so they had to nerf it a little bit. You could see my extra deck isn't 100% complete. There's a few things you could still add in here, I'm sure. But basically, you could just do more kaijus if you wanted. You don't have any more points to spend here. But yeah, so let's get into this one. So starting off here, we got the Fiend Piece Golem. Absolutely lovely extender. Allows you to play around Nibiru and stuff. Triple Power Vice Dragon. Triple Bone Archfiend. Triple Skullmeister, great hand trap. Also, you can normal summon it with Crimson Resonator and its full combo. So that's pretty good. And then with the absence of Bystials, the Obsessive Uvu Loop is extremely necessary to banish key cards to summon them back and stuff like that. Also, it gives you an extender, level 4 tuner. We got the Darkness Resonator. Can reveal one Red Dragon Archfiend, special summon itself, and it gives you an extra normal summon of a Resonator monster, extremely important for this deck. Soul Resonator, triple copies. Everyone knows Soul Resonator. Search one level 4 or lower Fiend monster from your deck to your hand. And it also locks you, I believe. Yeah, Dark Synchro monsters. Pretty much everything locks you in this deck. I just play like I'm going to be locked every turn, basically, because that's the most effective way to play it, I believe. You could try and splash some other engines in here and not lock yourself as much, but I think that this is the most fun way to play the deck and the most pure way. Maybe it's not the most effective 100%, but I think it's pretty good still. So we got the Crimson Resonator, can special summon itself if you have no other cards on the field. And then if you have one dark synchro dragon monster on the field, you can special summon 2 of your resonators from the deck or hand. So this just allows you to go off, man. And you can actually, you don't have to, doesn't have to be the first thing you do either. We can actually get it out with Chain Resonator and keep going with the combo that way too. I might show you guys some combos with that in another video as well. Um, but here we got Vision Resonator. If there's a level 5 or higher dark monster on the field, you could special summon it. And then when it goes to the graveyard, you get to search for your Crimson Gaia or Red Zone, any spell or trap card that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend. There's actually going to be some in here that I show you later on that are going to be. There's one card in here that's pretty interesting, and you can actually search it off this as well if you need to. Then we got Chain Resonator. And Chain Resonator, when this card is normal summoned while a synchro monster is on the field, you could special summon one Resonator monster from your deck, except Chain Resonator. So basically we go level 6 guy. Sorry, not level 6 guy. You know, we need any synchro on the field, and then we can normal summon this guy, and we get an extra normal summon with darkness, right? So this makes a lot of sense to play now, in my opinion. It didn't necessarily before when you know Soul Resonator and Darkness Resonator weren't a thing, but now I think you definitely want to play the Chain Resonator. This is so good, guys. I see so many people leaving this out of their list, and it's fantastic, especially. And I'm gonna skip ahead here a little bit. Arms of Genesys Return 0 allows you to negate the effect of your opponent's monster that you have the same type in your graveyard. So because this is light, if you get this into the graveyard and summon this before Nib, like you're good. You can stop Nib. So I definitely think it's worth it to be playing the Chain Resonator in this variation. One Synchron Resonator can special summon itself if you control a Synchro monster. And then when it goes to the graveyard from the field, you get to add back one of your Resonators from your graveyard to your hand. Crimson Call, add one level 4 Laura Fiend monster from your graveyard to your hand. Or if you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it, you can add one such monster from your deck instead. So basically you go, you know, Crimson King, you search out Crimson Call, you grab Chain Resonator or Darkness Resonator, whatever one you're missing, and then you just start going off on your combos. And then we got triple Resonator Call in here. With Stone Sweeper being 5 points now, I don't think Stone Sweeper's good anymore. I don't think you want to spend points on that. I couldn't even if I wanted to. So that's that. I got the 3 Crimson Gaia in here. I'm maxing out on all my good starters. I hate hands where I'm bricked up and I can't do anything. We got the 1 Red Zone. This allows us to special summon a banished Dark Dragon Synchro monster. It also is a free pop on our opponent's turn. And the reason that I'm playing this over the Rumbling or whatever, is this is every turn. And in a slower format like this, like I don't want to have to keep bringing it back every turn, right? This is going to work for me every turn. Every turn I'm going to be special summoning my Dark Dragon Synchros back from the Banish Zone. Every turn I'm going to be getting that pop. Whereas the other card, you're getting it once. And yeah, that flip Book of Mooning all your opponent's monsters can be pretty good, but they can also set up a negate before that summon, which a lot of decks are doing, which is why Nibiru isn't, you know, the end all be all. It can be good if they're not prepared for it or they don't have the right hand or something, but a lot of people, including this deck, can play around Nibiru. So yeah, so this card's gonna keep putting in work for you every turn, whereas the other one isn't. And I don't want to have so many traps in here that, you know, I start not seeing what I need to see. And I just feel like there's a lot more effective things that I can add. So we got Chaos Dragon Levianeer in here. I can't believe that this isn't pointed at all. This is basically free. Cannot be normal summoned / set. Must be first special summoned from your hand by banishing 3 light and or dark monsters. You're basically only ever going to be doing dark. You can activate when summoned this way. You can activate this effect. Apply the following effect based on the attribute of the monsters. Only dark. Shuffle one random card from your opponent's hand into the deck. So this is basically just a free hand rip if you see it. Now, unfortunately, I'm not playing the Crimson Blade Dragon in here because I am playing the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Calamity. So you don't have a way to effectively search this, but if you see it in your hand, you know it's happy times. So that's a free hand rip. Basically, no matter what, you've got the two DD Crows in here. These are so good in this format. So many decks with graveyard effects and stuff like that. So this, even if in the mirror match, like this can do some damage. Also, the DD Crows and this work really well with this branded regained. I decided to put this in here because I'm banishing a lot of stuff with this deck, right? Um, I'm not getting the bestial part of this, but I still think it's worth it to be able to draw extra cards for extra interruptions potentially, as well as putting resources back into my extra deck that I might want to synchro for again later, so that way I don't run out of monsters to synchro or something, which has happened. But yeah, so that's why I'm playing the branded regained. I got a bunch of extra stuff that banishes stuff. I got red rain. I got hypernova, supernova's effect that banish. So there's a lot of different ways that you can banish with this deck. I got the two Fualos. I can only fit two in here with the points, or else I'd play three. A two to the branded. This, although you can't search these are still worth playing, man. Like, I have the Bestial Dispatter in here because I feel like that's probably better than doing the Chaos Dragon Levianeer thing. But you could take these out, take this out, and put in the Crimson Blade Dragon instead. That's definitely an option. And then you could also take out the Calamity and put in some other stuff. But I have another deck list I'll show you guys that's similar to that. But anyways, yeah, I feel like these are worth playing. This allows you to Calamity lock somebody on their turn. You can do it in their draw phase. There's literally nothing they can do about it. They can't even respond to this card, so we'll talk about that later. Scarlet Security. This is free back row removal. I see a lot of people not playing this, and I don't really understand why. Yeah, you have to control like an actual Red Dragon Archfiend or Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend. But you can, especially if you're breaking boards like this is going to be used for, instead of going into Crimson King, you're probably going to go into Scarred, right? Because Scarred's going to allow you to break the board a lot easier, so you're going to summon Scarred anyway, and then you're going to have Scarlet Security just pop all of his back row like it's a feather duster, right? So this is searchable, so you can have this in your hand, use it, get it back to your hand with Crimson Gaia from the graveyard, and do it again if you wanted to. Honestly, you could do this twice, in one turn. So this is definitely worth playing in my opinion, with all the back row removal or with all the back row decks in the format. And then I've got the two Forbidden Chalice in here, just some extra monster negates. This could be something else. You could decide to put something else here, like some of the kaijus or something. But I had the last few points. I figure I might as well put them in the deck, right? And then I've got the Red Lotus King, Flame Crime. Basically, he's what you're going to search off of the Soul Resonator if you already have Bone Archfiend access. And he's going to dump Red Rain into the graveyard for you. And that's pretty much all he's used for. If you control level 8 or higher Synchro monster, banish all monsters on the field except the monster with the highest level, which includes your own monsters, so be careful when you're activating this that you've already used your other monsters' effects, and your own stuff is going to get banished that's not level 12, so just keep that in mind, right? Also, the remaining face-up monsters on the field are unaffected by other cards' effects. So this means that your Hypernova, your Supernova, whatever, it's then going to be completely unaffected by everything. And this card could get up to like 85, 9,000 And so just to have a 9,000 attack monster beat stick unaffected can be ridiculous. Like if somebody just leaves something in attack position that they shouldn't, they don't realize, this thing could just, these two can just come up and clean up. They do so much damage. You end up having a lot of damage on field with this deck because you just special summoning all these massive synchro monsters, right? And then the last card I've got in the main deck is the red screen. This card is fantastic. It not only mentions Red Dragon Archfiend, but the effect is incredible. Your opponent's monsters cannot declare attacks. Just boom, cannot declare attacks. During each of your end phases, you must pay 1,000 life points. This is not optional, or this card is destroyed. Whatever, dude. I'll pay that 1,000 life points all day, right? You can target one level 1 tuner monster in your graveyard, destroy this card, and if you do, special summon that target. So say you're getting ready to go for the push, right? You could decide, okay, I have enough to push through this board, and then special summon that as an extender. So that's just fantastic. This is a great card, man. And the fact that it can special summon your Synchron Resonator back out to then get something else to your hand, like a Vision Resonator, and then Vision Resonator goes, can get you Crimson Call or Crimson Gaia, sorry. Um, that's just so effective, man. So then let's get into the extra deck, anyways. The Red Hypernova Dragon, pretty hard to summon a lot of the times, but it's not too bad, especially because we're playing Chain Resonator and Crimson Resonator in here to get 4 tuners out on the field. We do it quite often with most hands, so definitely looking to do this a fair bit. The only problem is stacking all your resources into like these big one monsters that they can just throw one negate on or one card to deal with the problem. You're usually better off spreading out your resources into multiple smaller monsters like the Bestial Dispatter, the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, um, and like these other cards that negate and stuff like that, because then you're forcing them to use more of their resources. Like, yeah, the Hypernova is fantastic to banish their entire field and graveyard, and then it can come back with Red Zone and do it again, because it's not hard once per turn, it's soft once per turn. So when it returns to the field, it can do it again. And same with Red Supernova Dragon. The problem with this one is that you have to wait to respond to somebody's monster effect, and or them attacking you. So this one can be outed a lot easier than this one can, because this one you could just wait for them to respawn or wait for them to do something, then respond to it, and then it goes, right? But this one you have to wait for them to actually do something, and that you can respond to. So they could easily just throw a chalice on this, and then your red supernova that you spent 4 cards investing in gets outed by one forbidden chalice that costs 1 point, or dark ruler no more or something. So although you do have cards like red rain and stuff to back it up and to make it unaffected, it's still kind of dangerous to just be going into these higher level guys. But in certain circumstances it's definitely better. So we got the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. When this card is synchro summoned, you can activate this effect for the rest of this turn. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects on the field. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. So this literally stunts them out of their entire turn. Because you can summon this on their turn with Branded Etude, or Etude of the Branded, and that they can't even respond to it. So you can do a bunch of effects first and then chain this at the end, and they can't even respond to any of those effects. Just make sure you make this the last effect you activate. And then we've got the Destorbim in here. Another Dark Dragon Synchro monster, can be a massive threat after the first turn. Say they out your board or something, or they start outing your board and you have this out on the field. Then it becomes a quick effect. You can banish synchro monsters from your graveyard and then target that many cards your opponent controls and just banish them. This can be a huge threat, and oftentimes people will be more worried about this than something like a Bestial Dispatter, even though the Bestial Dispatter is live and this isn't. So then next we got the Bestial Dispatter, obviously. This allows for better extension plays. When I banish something, I can then bring it back and continue to extend. Also gives me a monster negate or a pop. Um, and yeah, puts in an incredible amount of work, especially with a 2 to the branded. So it's a bestial monster for Etude. So if I got these out on the field together, everything that my opponent's monsters, everything that they use for tributes or ritual summons or whatever, it's going to get banished, which can be a massive game changer in certain uh, matchups. Certain decks really struggle against this, and you are going to have some Omni negates to be able to protect this as well. You're going to have this as a monster effect Omni gate, and then you're going to have your hot red effect as well, a hot red effect as well to negate anything on the field. So, and this can even negate Dark Ruler no more, because then I can, activate a 2 to the branded and then respond with Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. This also allows you to synchro on your opponent's turn, so, that allows you to get your King Calamity out. We've got Arms of Genesys return 0, so like I was saying earlier, there's lines that this card prevents Nib, and you can get into it really early. The only thing with this is then you can't use Crimson's effect, and I don't think you can use... Yeah, you can't use Red Rising or Crimson's effect, so keep that in mind. So if you're going to make this, then don't plan on using Crimson or Red Rising Dragon, because you won't be able to summon this. You'll get locked, or you'll summon this and then expect to use this, and you'll get screwed over thinking you have an extender coming that you don't have. So just keep that in mind. I got the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane in here. I see a lot of people getting rid of this one too. I feel like this is definitely worth playing. This can be another extender piece. This can bring back any of your Red Dragon Archfiend monsters just by getting rid of, an extra extender on your field or something. So it can bring back an entire synchro monster for one card on your field, like a Bone Archfiend or something, So definitely worth it playing, in my opinion. Then we've got the Hot Red, can target negate something on the field. So this can get around cards that say you can't respond with monster effects because you just activate something else, and then then you can activate it and target whatever's on the field. Then we've got just a regular one Red Dragon Archfiend. You could consider playing this at 2, especially with the Scarred. But I feel like 1 is usually enough. Sometimes, rarely, a situation comes up where you want to sync Special Darkness a second time, the next turn or something, and you can't because you've used Scarred or Crimson to go into your Red Dragon Archfiend. But for the most part, the duel's going to be over. You don't really need that on the following turn. Plenty of other things you can do. And then we've got the Scarred. Scarred basically is just a Red Dragon Archfiend, but when it goes to the graveyard, destroy all monsters your opponent controls in attack position, and then summon a Red Dragon Archfiend. And so it basically allows itself to replace itself, and so you can keep extending. You can break boards with it better, and so it's definitely worth including. Crimson King. If this card is Synchro Summon, you can add one card that mentions Red Dragon Archery from your deck to your hand. So this can grab pretty much anything in your deck. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish this card you control, special summon one Red Dragon Archery from your extra deck. And if you do, its attack becomes doubled. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So this is insane, man. Getting a 6,000 attack Red Dragon Archfiend that, when it attacks, can blow up the entire enemy's board with Crimson Gaia and stuff like that. Massive combos that you can do to break boards. So I don't feel like board breakers are as necessary in this deck, but still, if your opponent puts up too much of a problem, it can be kind of hard, but you do have a lot of extenders and different ways to play around things in this deck, so I feel like this deck is very good in this format. Draco Berserker, it costs no points. I mean, yeah, you're not going to summon this out a ton because it's not a Dark Dragon synchro monster, but you can use a 2 to the Branded to go into it. Same with the Arms of Gen X Zero, you can use a 2 to the Branded to go into that if you get it. And so I do think it's worth it playing this over a second copy of, Red Dragon Archfiend or something, just because it allows you to um, diversify your lineup a little bit more. Gives you another interaction. So worth it to play that. And then we've got the one Kui Belt, just pops a card on summon, level 7. Dark Dragon Synchro, fits perfectly into the deck, 0 points. Might as well include it, right? Red Rising Dragon. So this one is one that locks you. When this card is synchro summoned, you could target one Resonator monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except Dark Dragon Synchros. So that means if you've done anything beforehand that's not a Dark Dragon Synchro from the extra deck, then you can't activate that effect. During your main phase, except the turn that this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target 2 level 1 Resonator monsters in your graveyard, special summon them. So we've got these two in here. Definitely worth. That makes Chain Resonator even more worth playing because on the follow-up turn you can then special summon both of these guys back, and then that's going to get you another card with this guy. So even the follow-up play, it's worth it to play the Chain Resonator guys, I'm telling you, to be able to utilize Red Rising Dragon's secondary effect as well. So that's it for the extra deck. For the side deck, I've got the extra DD Crow in here because I'm at a 40 card list in this one. This one's a little bit cleaner. We got the 2 Godarla, could be 3 of each of these. Let's just say 3 of each of these. I really like the kaiju packages and stuff like that. But what you could actually do is instead of 2 of these, you could do swords. Of Swords of Concealing Light works very well in this deck as well. Flips all your opponent's monsters face down, and the fact that Red Dragon Archfiend gets to destroy all your all the opponent's defense position monsters, makes this card even better for Red Dragon Archfiend. So yeah, we got 2 of those. We got all the kaijus, and then the interrupted kaiju slumber again. This is just free real estate. Is the fact that this is 0 points. They're gonna have to answer this with any negates that they have or anything, and then that's gonna allow your engine to go through, hopefully, right? Or you can kaiju off something and then activate kaiju slumber, and that's gonna be their entire board cleared pretty much. Gravity Collapse. This card is. I can't even believe that this card's not pointed. When your opponent would summon a monster, send one face-up synchro monster you control to the graveyard, negate the summon. And if you do, destroy that monster. And your opponent cannot summon a monster until the end of this turn. Completely can stun somebody out of their turn. Yeah, and the fact that it's a what do you call it? Reverse trap card or whatever. You know what I'm saying. The fact that it's at that speed means that not a lot of stuff can respond to it. So, this card is broken beyond belief, honestly. This card alone, instead of playing the branded stuff and the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Calamity, could completely stun somebody out of their turn. And all we're playing is synchros, so we're always going to have a synchro out on the field to activate this. This is just I can't even believe it. And then we've got the 2 Twin Twisters in here for the extra back row removal for these stun decks and stuff that you might see. There's a lot of back row, even not in stun decks, and just everybody's deck. People are playing a lot slower cards like Lost Wind and stuff like that. Where is it? but anyways, people are playing a lot of back row cards that you need to deal with before you start getting your engine out there, or else you could end up getting screwed out of your turn. So you need something to deal with back row, and Scarlet Security, although it is searchable and it is an entire board wipe, you might have a problem getting the Red Dragon Archfiend out or something or whatever. So you might play these as well. And your deck is pretty much all one card combos too, like Power Vice Dragon, Crimson Gaia, Crit Resonator Call, Soul Resonator. They're all one card combos. Um, so you're never gonna have a problem with starting your combo that way. And then there's a bunch of other different combos you can do, but those are all one cards. So um, you don't worry about discarding a card basically because you're gonna have your one card combo no matter what. Even if you have to discard something, you could get Scarlet Security back. You could dump that and get it back anyways, right? Um, but yeah, so that's the regular Genesys RDA deck. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to mention about this one. But you could also, like I said, consider not playing the Calamity stuff and changing it a little bit. But I do feel like these cards are worth including, in my opinion, if you're gonna play Bestial Dispatter and stuff. So keep that in mind. And then I've got the real spice here, my Calamity Lock. This is all about the Calamity Lock. So if you are going to play a Calamity Lock, this is probably the variation you want to be playing. Um, Pretty much the same as the last one, except, find a few minor differences you can see. I've only got the 2 Skullmeister in there. Um, What else are we changing here? I've only got the 1 DD Crow. So points becomes pretty rough with this variation. You have almost no points left. So you have to make some sacrifices here and there. But luckily, none of these are pointed or anything. So I've got literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ways to Calamity Lock my opponent. And all I need to do, because I got one card combos, right? Technically, I could just stop before a Nibiru and then summon just Calamity on their turn if I was really worried about it. And there's not really much they can do about it. So if I draw any one of these cards, it's pretty much over. Um, the Burning Soul, if you control a level 8 or higher Synchro monster, add 1 card from your graveyard to your hand. Great for continuing to extend. So say I have this and this in my hand. This doesn't just become a dead card. I can then use this to further extend my plays to grab one of my Resonators or something from my graveyard. So this fantastic card, I would recommend playing it at 3 in this variation. And I've got the back row removal in the main deck in this one instead of in the side deck. And I would probably just use the side deck from the last one. It's pretty much the same. Yeah, I don't think this one was complete anyways. But yeah, so basically, and then we've also got, the Synchro Call in here. Target 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but it has its effects negated, and if you do, immediately after its effects resolves, Synchro summon 1 Dark Dragon or Fiend type Synchro monster using only monsters you control as material, including the summon monster. So, and people can't really they can't really stop this, so they kind of just get screwed in their draw phase. You just basically bring back a monster and then you get to synchro summon for Calamity for free. So any one of these 6, 7 ways, 7 different cards you can see, any one of them can get you your Calamity on your opponent's turn. And yeah, that's basically all this variation's about, man. I mean, if you can Calamity Lock somebody, they're pretty well friggin' screwed, And then we've got the Interrupted Kaiju Slumber and stuff in here, so we side all these cards out going second, and we just pop in a bunch of our board breakers and stuff, and hope that that's enough, and it usually is. So I don't have the anti-Nibiru line in here, but we can, again, like I said, we could just play around it by summoning a level 8 and then 2 more guys, and then, you know, ending on that, right? We can false end, and then they go to Nibiru us or something, and then we can extend from there even, right? So we could end up making them like bluffing their Nibiru and then forcing it, and then they Nibiru us, and then we could continue comboing anyways, right? So that's normally what I like to do on turn 2. Turn 1, it doesn't really matter so much. Most people don't have Nibiru in their main deck, although, you know, with the fact that these cards take points, a lot more people probably are playing it in their main deck, but it's not such a big deal. So yeah, that's basically the only difference with this variation. This one's all about calamity locking your opponent out of their turn, and then you just kill them on the next turn, basically, with your follow-up. And so yeah, that's basically all of my deck lists for the upcoming, or not upcoming, but I guess there is an event upcoming. But that's all my decks for Genesys format. These are all the decks I'll be looking at playing, trying out, seeing which one I like the most, and then you know, I can commit to something from there, basically. I have a lot of these decks in real life already, so I'm trying to decide which ones I like most and maybe take to my locals or a tournament or something. And yeah, so that's it for this video, guys. Look out for my channel for seeing future uploads on combos and different deck builds, and I also do streaming games and other knowledgeable video game stuff, like, you know, strats and things and deck lists and all sorts of stuff. So give me a like, give me a follow. You know, I'm trying to get monetized on YouTube, so I appreciate all the love, guys, and anything you guys can do. Take care. Have a good one, guys. Enjoy.